So, so you use the medicine wheel in work that you do, but what other things do you do? And there's one specific thing that I'm pretty interested in hearing about, because we were talking before the show and reading it, and it's kind of how we met, is the whole access consciousness thing.
Mm.
And I'd really like to ask you to kind of give us, in this short amount of time, like a snapshot of what that is and the power of that.
Oh, awesome. Thanks for asking. So as I mentioned, I didn't say the date, but in 1980, I became a holistic health educator. So I've been at it for, a little while. And I love to learn. And that's the beauty of, I didn't allow my love of learning to get squashed by the school system itself. I didn't, it wasn't all great. It wasn't all bad, but, there was a lot in it that I really didn't like. But I love learning.
You were a Catholic school survivor.
Yes. Well, I saw somebody with a T-shirt that said that, and I went, oh, that's my shirt,
Right.
But I just love learning, and I'm just, whether it's gardening or cooking or, whatever, and about holistic techniques and modalities. And so I was at an event just about 4 years ago called the Festival of Enlightenment. And there were a bunch of interesting facilitators there, including this gal, Rika Zimmerman. And she was just this sparkly little bundle of energy and joyfulness. And I, got connected with her, because all of us who were facilitators, we have a private group, and we stayed connected. And so I had my bar. So Access Consciousness has a whole ton of different modalities and tools and techniques to assist a person. And so I had my bars run, knocked my socks off. I had no idea what it was. And I've got my ear to the ground. I mean, I know about a lot of techniques and modalities, never heard of it, tried it, and I didn't really know what was different, but I could tell that something was different and changed. And it took a while till I could connect with somebody where I was visiting, to learn how to do the bars. And as soon as I did, I said, this is so good, I've got to learn how to teach it. But on the way there, over the months between I had my first session and when I had my first training, I looked into it, because I listened to a couple of calls that Rika was doing, and she was saying, talking kind of weird. And then there was this weird little word salad of these things like right, wrong, good and bad, POD, POC, all nine, church, boys, beyonds. And I'm like, what the hell is that?
Exactly.
And so I get online, because I have to confess, I was in a little wee cult early on in my California days I was born in California, but by the time I migrated back there. And it was, it was a sweet little cult, but it was still a cult. And there was and it was a cult because it was follow the leader, whatever the guy said. You could tell, because everybody was saying, oh, well, I'm going to go to the desert. Oh, he must have said it's time to go to the desert. Or, oh, don't wear red. Or, there were all these restrictions to be part of the group. And I was only in it for about 6 months, but it put my antenna up so that anything that I'm like, well, I don't know, this sounds really weird, I better look into it. But when I looked into it, what I recognized for myself was that Access uses questions to open up your capacity to be aware of the energy. So, for instance, like people say energy, well, what do you mean energy? And it's like, how many of you have ever hugged somebody and it was like hugging a brick wall?
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh, well, that's energy. And then there's somebody else and you hug and you just feel like you're just dissolving into this mush pile of puppy love oneness. And you're just like, you're never going to let go because it's so amazing. And so when in Access, we ask questions to be able to assist ourselves to know what we know, because we know stuff, but we've been trained here to not know. And
can I stop you right there just for a second?
You bet, yeah.
Because I know that back to the whole cult thing just for a second.
Yeah.
Because you talked about it and then you kind of jumped to the whole exciting part. But
I knew you were going to go for this one, Roger.
Oh, that's good. Let's go there.
No, because I think that there is this impression of that whole thing, and there's been accusations of that taking place, right?
Oh
But
yeah.
in fact, it's one of those things where just because it appears to be something doesn't mean that it is.
Yeah.
But if you don't look beyond the surface, you're not
Yeah.
going to pick it up.
Exactly.
And I think, correct me if I'm wrong. It's like the founder has said he's not interested in having people follow him. Is that correct?
That's correct. He's like,
That's right.
find somebody who's interested in that and go follow them, please.
Are you talking about the founder of Access Consciousness,
Yeah,
Roger?
Gary Douglas.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Gary M.
Okay.
Yeah, Gary M. Douglas. Yeah.
Okay.
And he's.
So I just wanted to make it clear that it isn't.
Yeah. No.
Okay.
Yeah. And thank you for that, because it's so not, and that's how come I could allow myself to get involved with it at all, because I'm so not interested. Been there, done that. I could get a T-shirt. I was in a cult, and there were lovely people in it that with whom I'm still friends now. But just that scene was not, no, never again. Thank you very much. And so with Access, it's about empowering us to know what we know for ourselves. And so by asking questions and using a variety of other tools and techniques, we can unlock the things that have been, the poo piles that we've got in our living rooms, and we can, easily move them on and have shifts. And it's also similar to the medicine wheel, where it's a spiral. So you might be working on something and you feel like, oh, I broke through. And I don't know if this has ever happened to you people, but, subsequent to my first time with this thing, I have had this moment where I felt like I really broke through, and it's all in my past, and then that's good, but then I'm moving along and there it is again, but it's different. And then there's another thing within the medicine world, but I don't want to go into that right now. But with Access, it's about assisting people and not doing it for them or creating obligation. And Access has a lot of different points of view about healing and about teachers, or about all kinds of things. And one of the there's these 10 keys to Access, and one of them is the first one is, would an infinite being truly choose this? So if I'm having an issue with something, would an infinite being truly choose this? No, probably not. And well, then if an infinite being wouldn't, then why are you? Because we're infinite beings, and we have these cute little, vehicles to cruise around the planet in. But that's not all of what we truly are. And another one of the tools is everything is just an interesting point of view. So when I was doing my due diligence and research on Access Consciousness, I found a number of websites, and some of them were Christian-based, and some of them were just skeptic-based. But if, these other interesting points of view about how bad Access was and how horrible, and they say this and they say that, and it's really awful, and especially Christians, like, don't let anybody run your bars. That's like, the path straight to away from Jesus. But I have a hunch. I mean, it's my interesting point of view that Jesus would actually like to have his bars run. So.
Wait, let's stop. What do you mean by bars? What is that?
Oh,
I'm sorry if you guys talked about that when I had to leave, but
we covered it all already, and you just no.
I'm assuming you're not talking about the tossing of back.
Yeah, well, and also as a ballet dancer, it's like we have the bar in the studio.
Yes,
right.
Right.
So you have the ballet bar, and it's not just slugging back your shots at the bar downtown.
No tequila, yeah.
Yeah, although it's not forbidden. So it's the bars are actually 32 points on the head that you just lightly touch them, and what they do is they are releasing all of the built up, like, energetic flotsam and jetsam of all of your past thoughts, your judgments, your decisions, your conclusions, all of the ways that you tried to figure out this reality, or projections, your expectations, all of that sort of stuff. And one of the ways that I've thought about it is that if everything is energy, then in a particular way, as a way of looking at it, that thoughts can actually be things. And so, for instance, on your computer, when you delete a file, there's still like a little ghost of that in there. And so you have to do a disk defrag to really get it gone. And so basically, bars are like a disk defrag and a reboot, so that you can, and that was what I noticed after my very first session. It was just, there was all this space around me. I kind of floated through the rest of the day, and it was just easy and happy and yummy. And you'd like to think, oh, you just need it once and then it's all good. But, there's that spiral, and we got, plus we're picking up,
I was going to say, yeah,
we're all psychic SpongeBob. So we pick up, stuff from each other.
Yeah.
And so, what if like the work that you personally are doing, whoever's watching this, like you're contributing to the better well-being of everybody on the planet, even though sometimes it doesn't look like it right now. But it's like when you're like, for instance, making soup stock, and you all this, you put all these clean vegetables in there and your water, but after a while this cruddy stuff kind of floats up, and you have to scoop it off, and then it's gone, but then it comes back, and so you scoop again, and you keep scooping until it really gets clarified. And one way of talking about it would be, to me, that we're kind of clarifying our stock here of the little soup of humanity, and each one of us has our part to play in clearing our ancestral stuff, and all of the things that we came in here to clear, like we chose this. And all the times that I was just like, Scotty, beam me up, I want to get out of here. But truly, I had a moment where I had a vision, and I saw that I actually chose this. And so, because if I'm an infinite being, would being abandoned be a problem? I don't think so. If I'm an infinite being, would being physically and sexually abused be a problem? Not really, because I would know that it's just all part of this story that I chose to be involved in. And, and whether that's ultimately the most ultimate truth of reality, I don't know, like in the sense of, can I prove it to you right here and now? But it certainly gives me a lot more peace and space within myself to hold it that way, rather than holding it as like, they did me wrong and I'm not going to, let go until they're punished forever in hell or whatever, It's
yeah,
like,
why hold on to that story?
Yeah,
you could make space for some peace and tranquility and that kind of thing. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. So
when you're talking bars are only in the head, is that what you said?
That's
2 points.
Yep. There's
in the head, Janet.
Yeah.
Is that why people like their head massaged? I mean, there's the head is very sensitive.
Totally. Yeah. And there are other modalities, so a lot of times people, because, we tend to like to reference other things. So it's like this or it's like that. So sometimes people say, oh, it's just like cranial sacral work, or, oh, it's just like Reiki, or, oh, it's just like, whatever. And I'll say, it's very similar to, lots of different things, anywhere where you're touching the head, because you're touching the head, and it's a different point of view, just that I don't have to do anything. Like, I'm not trying to run a particular energetic thing through that person's head. I'm just touching it, like you'd hit the delete button on the computer, and then the computer knows what to do. So I'm touching these spots on the head, and the body knows, oh, that spot, yes, let's get rid of all of our points of view about sexuality and peace and joy and, those kinds of things. So it's, and to me, it's the gift that just keeps on giving. If I could have my bars run every day, and I'm asking the universe, what would that take? Some days I get it more and some days less, but.
Well, can you run them on yourself, or does that have to be done by someone else?
You can do it. And some of them it's not as easy to do, but in a pinch you can. Mm-hmm. It's and Gary's point of view, and he is the originator, his point of view is that on this planet, in this reality, these little bodies are not given enough yumminess, and they really love it. And so the more that we can touch each other, the better. But if you're in a pinch, definitely run your own bars. Like sometimes I'll just get in bed and I'll just put my hands on the implant band and which is one of the, I mean, they're all really amazing and useful, but to me, the implant band's kind of like a master bar in a sense. It just covers a lot of territory. So I'll run that for myself, or just we also start with these things called the energy pulls, and it's just asking the universal energy to flow through that person and kind of open up their channels to receiving. Because again, Gary's point of view is that we just don't receive very well here, so the more we can open up to receiving, the better.
Yeah, at least receiving the good stuff. I mean, I'm sure we're all masters at taking in the negativity around us at times, but
well, there's that, and it's, but I've found, and I don't know if it's true for you too, Janet, but often I found that even while I might be like unconsciously taking on, I'm equally resisting it too.
Yeah.
And so if I could just allow it to go and just go, oh, interesting point of view, they've got this thing going on. I don't have to hold on to it and make it significant. I can just be witnessing it and aware of it and allow it to be what it is.
Yeah, I find a really interesting correlation with this because I do human design astrology. And in human design, the head chakra, the top chakra or energy center, is where we take in inspiration and information from around us. And 50% or so of the population has a defined head, meaning they're broadcasting that energy out all the time. The other 50% of us have open heads, and so we're sort of absorbing the stuff from around us, amplifying it, and then sending it back out into the world. And it feels like sometimes then the open heads are open-headed people are bringing in things that aren't even genuinely their own, but they don't know the difference. So the story can get bigger and bigger, but they lose sight of where did this come from?
Yeah.
Is this even my story, or is this even something that I need to hold on to?
Right.
And so I'm seeing a really interesting correlation. What I guess I missed was, how does the bars relate to access consciousness now? Is there something that after you run the bars, or I think that's the word you used, run the bars, that then something else happens that heals that energy? Or
well, it's actually the bars is the first class that you would take if you're going to typically get involved with access at all. And although there's some little taster like intro things that you might do as well, but and so it's the gateway drug into access consciousness.
The part that brings you back for more.
No, yeah, because we laugh about it sometimes, but and it, for some people, it's just, okay, I got relaxed, that was great, see you later, and that's the last time we'll ever see them, and they're just good. But it's like it's like a little key that opens up new possibilities, and so Gary really, his whole modus operandi, as I understand it, about access consciousness is that he wants to facilitate really, aware, awakened consciousness on the planet. Not the fact that, okay, my eyes are open, I'm conscious, but like really the awareness of how I, relate, and then related, my words, related to everything on the planet. And so, so the bars assist with that. And, but
I'll give you an example.
A person doesn't have to do anything more than that.
I'll give you an example. Actually, last year, Janet produced a radio show that I did once a week. And my co-host is the one that introduced this to me several years ago. And his ex-wife is now certified, I don't know what they call it, but she's like
certified facilitator,
She's taking every course there is, But what happened for me is that there was one day I probably I went to see Rika Zimmerman, go figure. And then there was a woman in San Diego that was doing bars trades every week, which is you can go and for $10 you work on each other, and for the evening. And it was probably about 4 or 5 weeks into this that notice one day I had no thoughts.
Mm-hmm.